This is Robert Clotworthy, the narrator of The Curse of Oak Island, and I have a question for you. Could it be that you are listening to The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Livestream?
This is a top pocket find, mate, for sure.
Hey everyone, Jeff here with The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Livestream, and in the house tonight we got Colin Jamieson and Tom Burns. How you doing, guys?
Awesome.
Doing great.
Cool.
Make a note to self. Turn down volume when music comes on.
I tried to keep it turned down a little bit. That was I had to go a little bit old school there, and run the old one because I haven't seen it in a while. I was watching it the other day, and I thought that intro, it's got Jack in there and everything, and some of the other guys and folks that have been Alessandra and everyone. And I thought, man, I need to run that old one.
Yeah,
just
it
so I
wasn't
can,
you. It was not you. It was me. I had it cranked right up way too high.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah, it was all me.
St. Marie, Ontario. All right. Jan. All right. Thanks for being here, Jan. Appreciate that. I'll be right up in that neck of the woods here in about 4 days. So there you go. I'll be real close to there. Glad to see you. Hey, there's Alessandra. How you doing, Alessandra?
How you doing? Yep.
We got to get you back on the show, Alessandra. It's been a while. When I was watching that old intro, that was from August of 2022. That one was made, and when I was watching it, I thought, man, we got to get Alessandra back on the show. It's been a while, so definitely got to get you on here. So anyway, I wanted to say hi to a few people out here tonight as we got started. Of course, Craig is kind of taking over the number one spot, showing up here first. Craig, thank you for coming, sir. Mary and Jackie. Jeff's in the house. Kat. Yeah, I missed out on being in Discord last night, almost 2 weeks in a row, and I apologize for that. But, well, I do and I don't because I was with family. Last night I was at the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball game with family. Yeah, we were in a suite. We were in one of those suites where they got the food and the drinks and everything. It was awesome. Free parking, everything. I mean, it was awesome. So yeah, we had a great time there last night, and that's why I was not in Discord and hanging out with everybody in there. So, but next week we'll be back. We'll get it rolling. Let's see. Dean's here. Bass is here. Jim, Mary, Kevin,
Sharon from Maine, Judy.
And there's a ton of people up there today.
Oh,
yeah, Diane. Yep. Barbara. Yep. Karen. Christy. Hi, guys. I really appreciate you guys all coming tonight. It's really cool. I love having you here because I tell you what, as we've said many times before, the folks in the chat, I mean, you guys have such great questions and great comments, and you see things on the show that we don't catch. And that's why I love doing these live. I know I've said that 1,000 times, but that is really, truly the reason I like doing these live, because I love to interact with everybody in watching the show, because it's the same thing I say when we get new folks that join our Facebook group, which is the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond, and it's also with Skinwalker Ranches in there, but it's Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Facebook group. That's how you find us over. There's a link for it down below in the description of the show, and that's where we do all that discussion. When we have a bunch of new members like we just did, we've crossed that 30,000 member mark, which is awesome. And I always say when we bring in new people, I said, welcome, folks. Glad to have you join the discussion, because that's what this is all about. We're all fans of the show. We're here discussing the show, and that's truly what this show is. All this particular podcast is about, as well as discussing the show that we all enjoy so much. So really appreciate you being here. I did want to also say that do some housekeeping here. Please click on that like button. And if you're subscribed, it would really appreciate if you are subscribed. And if you want to click on that notification bell, you'll know right away when we have new content coming out. I don't always announce. It's not always when I have something new. And over the summer months, when we get some of that breaking news, I'm going to come on whenever. I might pop in at noon or something in the middle of the week to give you some breaking news that's happening from the island. So you're going to want to make sure you have that notification bell clicked so you can know about that right away. And give us a thumbs up if you like the content of our show. The thumbs up, they really help the algorithms with YouTube to really get us out there more. So If you like the content, give us a thumbs up. And also, if you want to help support the show, you can do so by where we have our Patreon channel. It's JFree906 out there at Patreon, Patreon, and it's JFree906 over there. Or you can buy one of these cool mugs from Jess, got the logo on the front. Jess Grolo at bluestickslaser.com. And so anyway, I was going to say that the show is being sponsored today. It's not being sponsored by this, but I bought this Bang drink. Sometimes I'm lagging a little bit and I need a little pick me up right before the show starts because we're working all day. And they didn't have my regular drink that I like. And so I bought this Bang and it says it's called Whole Lotta Chocolata. And I thought, okay, well, let's give this a shot, right? So I cracked it open, and as soon as I opened it up, it went, psh, and I went, uh-oh, it's carbonated. And it honestly, it kind of reminds me of chocolate Alka-Seltzer.
You're certainly one for adventure, Jeff.
That was an adventure to crack into that, and I took a swig, and I was like, definitely different. Yeah, so anyway, all right. Anyway, guys, I'm so glad to have you back here, Colin and Tom, of course, and helping us with the show. And Linda is helping out there in the chat tonight. She's helping very much. Thank you very much. And we got Jan worked up this another stellar synopsis for this, and we really appreciate Jan so very much doing all that.
Gotta have your synopsis. You can't tell a night from a day without your synopsis.
I'm telling you, and she had her work cut out for her this time because she had all these names, Italian names, and cities, and ones that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce as we go through this tonight. We are going to be Kat. Thank you. Wow, thank you so very much, Kat. That is awesome. I appreciate that. It's really cool. Thank you. We are going to be doing a giveaway, and as I was saying before, with these giveaways, we're having people are donating things to us to give away, and it's really cool. It started off, we had some things that Linda had, all this extra, coasters and things like that. We thought, oh, let's give them away, just an afterthought. And now people are donating stuff. They're actually asking us and telling us that they would like to donate things. And tonight we have, we're going to be doing this in a little bit. We'll do this.
Speaking of Dr. Pepper,
honestly, Barbara, I would have to say that this is better than Dr. Pepper, in my opinion. Yeah. So anyway, and speaking of Dr. Pepper, we happen to have tonight's giveaway is Dr. Pepper. Why anybody would want these, I really don't know, but but this is tonight's giveaway. They are Dr. Pepper. They're made out of the can. They're trimmed up and everything and made into these stars for, whatever you want to do with them, I suppose. Hang them on your Christmas tree or whatever. So we got these Dr. Pepper stars, and everybody knows that Rick Lagina is I think he owns stock in Dr. Pepper, actually. He buys it by the case, I guess, and bottle.
If he doesn't own stock, he's at least on their Christmas card list, I can tell you.
Yeah. Les Britton, Bitten, sorry, made these. And thank you, Les. I appreciate that very much. We all do. And that is going to be for tonight's giveaway. So we'll do that in a little bit as we get rolling on tonight. And so we will give those away. And then, as always, you got to be here to win. And if you want to figure out, for those of you who I have not been here before, if you want to have a chance to win one of these, you have to be part of our Facebook group. And Linda will put out that picture and say, okay, this is the giveaway for next Wednesday, whatever. And you just have to say yes in that Facebook post on the Facebook group page, which is the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond. So you just have to say yes in there, and then she'll enter you in there, and then she'll do the spin here in just a little bit.
My brother says he likes Dr. Pepper. Are you really my brother?
Yeah, it's one soft drink that I could just not acquire a taste for is Dr. Pepper. I know some people do, and I'm not one of them.
People that like it love it.
Yeah, I guess it's like Skyline Chili. I don't know. You guys probably never heard of Skyline Chili up there in our friends above the border. But Skyline Chili is one of those kind of places. It's Cincinnati style chili that they put on top of spaghetti. And you can have the 3-way, the 4-way, the 5-way, or whatever, and a cheese coney. Man, I love the 4-way and a cheese coney. Oh, it's awesome.
I think
But it's
Colin
one of
would
those things, you either hate it or you'll either love it or you hate it. There's no in between.
Colin would just
Yep.
stick to our poutine and ketchup chips, right?
That's right. Storm chips. Storm chips.
And storm chips.
Storm chips, yeah. Yeah, storm chips or ketchup chips. Yeah, one of those kind of things. All right. Yeah, Skyline chili is good. It's one of those things. All right. And later on, as we get rolling, before we get too far into tonight, we're going to actually kind of take a midpoint break there when we do the giveaway. And we're going to talk a little bit about our man on the around the island, I should say, Mr. Colin Jamieson and his pictures that he has taken. And we're going to go through those a little bit. Recon 1 was out doing his work, going around the island. I can't wait to get up there in June and go around the island with you on that boat. And also Tony Sampson's Salty Dog Sea Tours that I'm signed up for also. Really looking for both of those. But we are going to go live as long as I got signal and I can go live. We're going to go live from Colin's boat as we're going around Oak Island. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that. That's really going to be.
So could Jeff? Could this be like a birthday podcast on Oak Island on a boat?
Yes.
Like the whole trifecta. Could that really happen?
It can, yes.
Nice.
I think you were talking about actually showing up over at the resort in a boat. We'll arrive in the boat. We'll get off one boat. We'll jump on Tony's boat.
That's right.
Yes, that's going to be awesome.
100%.
Yeah, if you want to know when I'm going to be there, it's out in the Facebook group page. There's a post that was put out there for that. So it's in June, the latter part of June, and just call it the summer solstice if anybody knows what that is. All right. Yeah, so we're gonna have some fun with that. Jeff, are you going to be able to use a cell phone in Canada without costing you an arm and a leg? No, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg for sure. Yeah, because there's no Wi-Fi out there, so I'm going to have to use AT&T cell signal, and yeah, it's going to cost a bunch. So, but we're going to do it anyway because I want to, and I think it'd be fun. Unless I can borrow somebody else's phone or something. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Here we go with that now. Yeah, I'll be 30. Yeah, I'll be 30. Yeah, just go with that. Yeah, something like that. All right, let's get rolling with it. So we got season 10, episode number 22, Starry Knights, that we're going to be talking about tonight. And this was a pretty good one. They're saving some of the better stuff for the end here, I think, with the show. Yeah. Oh, sign up. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I will have to turn that back on because I have it disabled right now. So you're right. I will have to turn that back on. Mine was only $5 a day for self-service. Okay.
How portable is your Starlink?
It's very portable. Actually, it can work from a boat too.
See?
Wow. Very good point. Thank you. It's working great tonight, right? I mean, I've only frozen about 5 times already since the show started.
Much clearer skies up here, though.
Yes, yeah, you're closer to the satellite.
We're closer to heaven, yeah.
Closer to heaven. That's what we say about the UP of Michigan. Closer to heaven, God's country, right? All right. The Curse of Oak Island. Here we go. So Starry Knights, the guys start off right away and they jump out to the good old money pit. And right away, they're coming out to get an update on the garden shaft to see if the last set is finished. We found out last week they were down to about 78 feet or something like that. 77, 76.
Yeah, 82 at one point, I think.
Yeah. So that's the bottom is somewhere around 82 feet. They want to get to the bottom of the garden shaft, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then this was actually a picture from last week, and this is kind of scary, folks. I think really in the end. Oh, did you really, Linda? Wow, cool. All right, I get to meet Linda there. That'll be great. All right, Colin's going to be there too. So we got Colin a seat on the same one. So it'll be Colin and I. You'll get to meet Colin as well. So there you go.
The big party boat.
Huh?
Big party boat.
Yeah, we're gonna have a big party boat. I don't know if Tony's gonna be able to be our guide or not. That's one of those things where you just don't know for sure. if Tony's going to be there or not. He may get called away to the island. He may get called away to do some other kind of, important show or something. So we just don't know if Colin will,
Listen, I'm sure as soon as they find out that you're there, we're going to have Tony. I can feel it.
Well, I do have to ride in the dinghy, the tube out back. I think there was a restraining order or something that I had to sign.
Prometheus will probably send a crew down.
Yeah. 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 They're probably going to have a sign up on the front of the causeway that says no Freemans allowed or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but this, as I was saying, this piece here, this is kind of scary, honestly. If I were these guys working down there, I would be and they are obviously very concerned about this, because you've got this broken beam right here. And then if you notice this one back here, oh, you know what? I didn't get my, I didn't get that fired up. Hang on, bear with me a second here. Uh-oh, where'd it go?
Didn't they say that the bottom of the garden shaft, they're encasing it? Like, I know it's been wood all the way down, but were they going to encase it in metal or concrete or something like that?
Steel frame around the bottom before they finish it off. Yeah.
Steel frame. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're saying they're getting a lot of pressure from outside. And we talked about that Jeff and I talked about that last week. There's got to be water or mud or something back there, something non-solid pushing on that wall, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening at this point, and probably has been. And we talk, and yes, we did talk about that as they remove all of the muck and the weight of all the mud and clay and water that was in the garden shaft to begin with, keeping that pressure equalized on both sides of the wall. Once they remove all that, then now you've got that pressure pushing against the wall that probably caused this crack. Now, I don't know if this crack was recent or if they got down there and found it already there. But it's very concerning, because if they're depending upon what's on the other side of that wall that's pushing against it so hard, depending upon what that is, if it was water and it broke through, there could be some trouble down the road for these guys. But yeah, they reinforced the beam with metal and a new beam. Yeah, because there is a picture, and I've got and that's where there's Marty, and I think that's not Doug. Charles is over there checking out, getting the update on what's happening and where they are with it right now.
Who made the comment last night about the water flow down there? Was it Scott or somebody? So they were talking about, they know that there's flowing water down there, and that they don't, they want to make sure that it doesn't get in there, so that, they don't have to try and stop it.
Mm-hmm. Bobby, I'm not, I was under the impression that when they got down to a certain level, there would be water in the bottom of the garden shaft. Now they are sealing it as they grouting. They're calling it grout. They're grouting as they go. But when they get down to a certain point, I was under the assumption that they would hit water, but apparently it is cut off from the flooded void areas and the areas that were flooded from the flood tunnels. It must be cut off. It's sealed off from that to a degree. So that's why there's no water in there. But the water is close by.
Yeah, there is some water getting in there, I think, as you've seen different times you'll see from the aerial shots. They've got the suction pump set up, running down towards the bottom part of the pit, with the tank there in the water. So they are pumping some water out, but it's certainly not enough to be worrisome.
Because wasn't in the original tunneling and stuff, they would have used that thick clay to kind of hold the water back. Of course, over time that erodes and the water comes in. But while they're in there, I thought that was because they would grout even the old style tunnels as they were going, because you're going to get water permutation from the ground and the water table and stuff.
Yeah. They use blue clay. Yeah.
Somebody's dog is excited. I was trying to find my app that has that.
See something going down the street there.
There it is. I found it. All right.
I'm going to show if they're working. Yeah.
Okay. There it is. Okay. Now I got my fancy little tool there. We saw water down in the shaft when they were working their way down with the grout, etc. Yes, so there is some leakage coming through. Yeah, the preview next week shows water when Marty is out there. Yeah, so Marty gets down there, and we'll see that here in just a little bit. But Marty does get down there, and sure enough, there is. It's very wet. There's another shot of that beam that's broken, and how it's pushing against or breaking its way in a little bit there. And yes, they are going to go in, and they're going to be refurbing that. Roger asked, Charles asked about the right corner. And Roger said that they did punch a hole in the north corner. And in doing so, they found that the ground was softer there than it was on the other three corners. Now, when they talk about the north corner would be this corner right here, where this right here, that's the north corner. Right there where that ventilation tube goes down.
That's right, where the baby blob is.
Yeah, exactly. The baby blob is over this way, and they think that the tunnel that they've talked about many times is running right underneath this north corner. Yeah. And that's why, and I tell you what, it by telling everybody that is softer material when they punch the probe, that red little drill that they put down there, when they do that, they're finding that, it's softer there for sure, which leads you to believe that, yes, there is something going on in that corner. And that's why I believe that it was sinking. And that, Tom, what they were talking about, it's sinking on that one corner there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, to me, it's non-compacted soil, so it's been disturbed.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so that tends to, that would tend you to believe that's where that tunnel is running in that area. And if that tunnel is through there, and I think that may very well be a flood tunnel, then they're going to hit water once they punch into that bad boy. So
yeah, I hope it's not a flood tunnel.
Yeah. Well, and that's what he said. Roger tells him that there has been more movement in that cracked timber that we saw in that one picture there. And Roger says that they will be putting a steel casing in before the final set, which was going in later that same day. But he thinks that they're close to something like a flooded structure under there. So, yeah.
We know there's flooded tunnels down there. So,
yeah, we know that for a fact because we've seen them on the camera.
Seen them. Yep.
Yeah. There's no doubt about the fact that there are flooded tunnels. And like I said earlier, I think that one thing that they found is running through that north corner is one of the flood tunnels. It kind of seemed like it was heading towards Smith's Cove. If you extend that line, we don't know that it does, but if you extend that line that they were following, it heads right for Smith's Cove. So
I wonder if it could just be a tunnel that got flooded from a flood tunnel.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Definitely a possibility.
I'd much rather have them find a real tunnel than a flood tunnel.
Yeah. I don't know if, that's something that I thought about. You remember when they were looking over there at M16.5 and L16.5, and they were following another tunnel that was heading for the garden shaft also. That maybe was flooded as well. When they put the camera down there, we saw the cave in, we saw the dirt, but we saw the wood, but we also saw that it was flooded. So I think just about, and we know C1 is flooded. We know H8 was flooded.
10X is flooded.
10X is flooded. So are they all interconnected? I believe they are. And the garden shaft was the only shaft or area that was not tied into those. And so therefore it's not completely flooded as they go down. So we'll certainly find out as they go through. But and I wanted to show this picture here. I'm not sure, but I was thinking this was the beam that was broken coming out. They did show this. They didn't talk about it, but it was shown on the show real quick. And I believe that this is the beam because you can see right here where it was cut off and it's cracked. So
all right, your buddy.
Leave me alone.
We got the other co-host here now.
It's the first mate on the boat.
Yes, the first mate. So it looks like they've taken that one piece out already.
I think that's the broken one, because they brought it up out of the hole.
Exactly. Yeah. Christy, thank you. Wow. That's really awesome of you, Christy. I really do appreciate that so very much. Thank you. It does help a lot, believe me. Okay. So as we move along here, so next thing, and there, I think that's it where they cut it off and brought it up. All right. So next they jump over to lot number 5. Now, the cool thing about lot number 5 that they've been working on here lately, I mean, lot number 5 has produced so many different things. I think a couple of the coolest things that have come from lot 5 has been that barter token that they found here. We talked about it in the last 2 episodes.
Yep.
It's that looks like a petrified Ritz cracker that has a little, serrated edge around the edge, and the 2 holes in it. And everybody was speculating what that thing was, a buzzer toy or whatever, a spinner. Nope, it wasn't that, for sure. And then it was dated to be 5th century.
Yes.
So yeah, and then there was also the Roman. The half of that Roman
coin. Yeah.
So there we go. I mean, those are 2 incredible finds that were from lot 5 already.
And the big thing is they didn't float in there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just what I was getting ready to say.
Oh, sorry.
No. I'm glad you brought it up. Absolutely, because you're exactly right. They didn't float in there. They were in the ground, buried. Gary found them metal detecting and had to dig them up. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, I can say for certainty, Lot 5 is definitely a place of interest already this season, or I should say for next season, because they're already over there working away at it, we'll say.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting.
Not that I was over there spying on them or anything. But,
oh, no.
Yeah.
No, you would never do such a thing with binoculars and a video camera.
On a casual drive with a zoom camera. Who doesn't do that?
You were out fishing, right? I mean, that's where the good fish are caught, right there off of lot 5, I think.
Fishing
trying to get some quality osprey shots.
You're on a fishing trip. I mean, come on. And what did you say earlier that the lobster are they in season right now?
Yeah, the lobster boats are out there. Lots of gear in the water.
There you go.
Those islands,
yeah. You gotta. Yeah, your boat's stalled. If you happen to be cruising by and the boat stalled right there, and you were trying to get it running again, and yeah, not your fault.
Could happen.
So yeah. All right. So yeah, right here is where they're working, lot 5, and they have continued their work on this pit. A very interesting thing, and Tom and I, we were kind of speculating about this last week a little bit, talking about the fact that, it was very interesting and it's lined with stone, and 13 feet across, but the 13 feet across is actually measured up on the edges somewhat, because where Laird was standing with the tape measure on his end, he was back like where he's standing now in this picture, which is not at the actual hole. So I don't think the actual circumference of the opening is 13 feet, but all the way to the exterior outside of that is 13 feet. But anyway, regardless of all that, it was lined with these flat stones around the top edge. And I thought that, and again, Tom and I talked about this last week, but it's very curious. I mean, what do you guys, as they were going along, we see here Helen standing down in there. She's doing some archaeology work down there at the bottom. And you can see the ring of stones that they're standing on right here. You've got these stones coming way out to this point, all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason you put stones like that down is you need a base for something to move on or travel on. Or you're supporting a roof.
Or build on.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm still on the leaning towards the pit house side of things, but they asked Laird if he's seen that kind of thing very often, and he said no.
Right. Helen said the same thing.
Yeah, and pit houses, as far as I know, were common. Maybe that's not how they were built at all, but they were commonly used by the indigenous people.
Right.
Just not
What do you
common to
think,
the
Colin?
island, maybe.
Colin, you're from that area. Have you seen anything like this at all?
No, I mean, there's one thing that doesn't lack in Nova Scotia is rocks. I mean, there's rocks everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think the timing of a lot of the stuff, I mean, a lot of the artifacts have been claimed to be in the 1750s and so forth. So there was, beyond a reasonable doubt, there's tons of French and English action going on, from Western Shore, South Shore, Nova Scotia, going up to Halifax. So
Yep.
It could be anything from a refuse pit that they were dumping in garbage or burning, or who knows, right?
Yep.
It certainly would have took some time and effort to go and even construct.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was hoping they could get something to date it. Kat says, I think it's a hole under the hatch on Zena's map used to have a wooden roof on it, or a hatch in it. I don't know.
Could have been
It
another.
Doesn't line up though.
Could have been another could have been another make work project for Portuguese if they were there.
Exactly. I was hoping that they could find another one of these smashed sticks in there. Yes. Hang on, Sharon, and I'll bring that up. Yeah, good point. If they find one of those smashed sticks, that we'll see later on, that Ian does find another one that's inside the rock, under one rock or between rocks, then you know that stick was there during the construction. You can date the stick and then find out a better idea of when it was created, when it was built. It gives you a better timeline of when it was built. Antique hot tub time machine. Yeah, maybe.
There you
go.
Didn't Laird say they found, excuse me, artifacts plural?
Yes.
But we only saw one.
Right.
But you got to remember, I mean, they didn't have refrigerators and stuff like we do today. So where was everything kind of kept? It's not like back then, like you come and say, oh, I'm going to go to the store and pick up some stuff. I mean, whatever supplies that you had, you were taking with you.
Yep.
The summertime gets warm, so they typically would have, a root cellar, or they could create a bunker type structure that they would put their barrels of fish and salted fish and materials and all that stuff in there, because you wouldn't want to leave it above ground. It's going to get hot, it's going to spoil, it's going to go bad. So
and to Colin's point, that was one of the purposes of one of the different purposes for pit houses, right? It can be used for livestock, cold storage, people, whatever. It was one common type of structure used for multiple things.
And hence, if you were storing stuff like that in there, you're going to find pottery. Someone's going to, because everything came in a barrel or some type of pot. There was no plastic or Tupperware or anything, so it would break something that would be in there, and they wouldn't pick up the pieces. You just leave it and carry on, right?
Right.
And here we are, a couple hundred years or a few hundred years later, and picking up the pieces.
Right. Exactly.
We don't know when that was broken. Right? It was broken 1750 or 1790 or.
Right.
Someone said store cabbage. Again, for sure there are agricultural things going on out there, and cabbage farming is one of them. And that is a great point of they would store that stuff in some semi-underground structure. So.
A chilling pond, or like Bill Burns said, for cabbage or something like that. Definitely possibility. Gail Richards brought up a good point too. Could be a mini church for the Templars, like a dome. It could, you think about it, it could be just about anything, but I don't think we kind of looked at this last week where we were laying Zena's map over the Lot's map and trying to see if it lines up with anything. It really didn't come anywhere close to lining up with anything from Zena's map. But then again, the map we have from Zena's was copied by somebody looking at something else, I think. So, I mean, is it a true representation of exactly where they are on Oak Island? No. So is it possible that they could have missed it by a little bit? Sure. So we just don't know at this point, quite honestly.
Exactly. Yeah.
One thing that I did want to point out too, while we're looking at this, is what's Gary doing? I mean, come on, Gary. I mean, you got flags over here, dude. I mean, it's people are wearing coats. It's late in the year, and you're telling me that you don't yet have these flags all pulled up and checked yet? I mean, come on.
Anyway, insider information, there's a lot of flags out there even today. So there's a ton of them out there.
Leftovers.
Yeah. I mean, man, he needs, folks, Gary needs some help. So who's got a metal detector and wants to go help? Yeah. I mean, obviously, if he's falling behind,
we'll get Colin to drop you off at the end of the causeway there in the boat.
Yeah. Well, I think that if he brings me over now that the sign is down that says, well, is that sign down, Colin, that said no trespassing on lot 5 right there?
There's a sign still up there. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was on last Saturday, we went out and we were putting around the boat, and I had someone else that lives locally, one of my neighbors, and he was telling me a story of his kids and one of his friends were kayaking out, and the weather came up quite badly, and they got trapped and ended up getting stuck on Oak Island.
Really?
And went around to the house. They were not happy, like not even a little bit, because they thought they were treasure hunters or something. Like, no.
Yeah.
We've got blown ashore and we can't make it home. Can we just call and get someone to pick us up, type of thing?
Yeah.
But they don't like trespassing.
So that means I'm gonna have to really be stealthy, huh? I'm not.
We'll drop you off. I don't know. I've never seen it in my life. You probably won't see any recordings online. It's not.
Get about 50 feet from the shore and over the side.
Yeah, over the side, and use my scuba gear and do like Nicolas Cage did when he got over there to the president's party. Pull off my wetsuit and have a tuxedo underneath. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, they were the pottery. They did find some pottery. Helen and Laird agree that they did not haven't seen anything like that circle anywhere in Nova Scotia. So we'll see. But I mean, you see the hole down there where Helen was working, right there in the bottom, and it looks like underneath the layer of stone that she was found there at the bottom, there's nothing. So not sure what it's all going to amount to, but it's definitely an interesting thing. And I still go back to the all the fun games till they start shooting at Jeff and Colin. It's all fun and games until the bullets start flying.
Don't worry, we're Canadian, so it's not so bad.
Just throw rocks. There's lots of them.
Yeah, got lots of rock ammunition.
Plenty of ammunition.
Plenty of ammunition. Yes, indeed. All right. So next we jump over to the swamp. And this is still proving out to be an interesting it's the stone road and the stone platform that just doesn't end over here in the swamp, that's for sure. Because as they continue working over here, you got now Billy and Steve and Gary, and they're scraping off the top of layers of the they're not actually, they're very close to where the stone platform was, and now they're scraping off what looks to be a ramp. So that entire area over there is the entire area over there is pretty much covered with these stones, or it's covered with the dirt and the muck, but underneath that is this layer of stone.
Yeah, it's all cobble. Yeah,
they're everywhere. They're everywhere, right?
They're everywhere. Steve would say, yeah.
Yeah. So so it's and again, some people poo-poo this. What's the big deal? But it's one of those things that it does have a giant mystery to it, in my opinion, anyway. And I'll get to that as we go along here. But that they found the stone road in the southeast corner of the swamp down here. That was found a couple years ago. And then when Dr. Aaron Taylor was there, they worked on this road here, and they were following it all the way up into here. So that was found a couple years later. This paved area they found, it was the year before they actually found the stone road down here in the bottom southeast corner. But now they're finding that it ramps up to this road here. Okay. So, and the paved area which is here, was found to be about 1200 AD, right? And that was found because of a rock or a stick that was smashed between the rocks. They had it dated, came out to be about 1220, actually, right around there. They've dated the stone road down here to be about the same time frame. They also know, because of Steve Guptill checking this, they also know that the elevation between where they are here in this portion of it, below foot below sea level, right? 1 foot below sea level.
Yep.
Is about the same as the stone road. So whoever built this was pretty darn good with figuring all these things out. Ray, oh my gosh. And they found that as this goes, it's going uphill. And immediately Billy found that, and Billy could tell if he's scraping this off, he can tell that he's pulling the bucket up as he moves along, scraping the top of it. And sure enough, that's what Stephen finds out as well. Ray Hadley, thank you, sir. Appreciate that so very much. Really appreciate it. You guys are incredible. So, and he said what about? It came up about what was it? 8 inches or so, something like that.
Because a foot below sea level at the lower end and 4 inches above sea level at the upper end.
Above sea level. Okay,
so, yeah.
But that's current sea level.
Current sea level, yeah.
And back then, it probably would have been slightly above sea level. Because I remember a couple of seasons ago, they had the remnants from the big aerial photos, and they're doing stuff. You could see the old stonework from where there was a wharf. There was a couple of wharfs that came out kind of in that same area that interject with the paved or stone road in the swamp. There was actually a lead in from the ocean. So,
yeah, Wayne asked about the sea level there, and the sea level I think would be I think at one time Rick Lagina had mentioned about a foot per century. Right? Was that about it? About a foot? Oh, it looks like I'm frozen. There we go. About a foot per century. And so, what is that? 800 years? So it'd be 8 feet.
I think that a little bit of the deceiving thing is because today, when you look at it, it's an island and it certainly has a causeway. But remember, there's a lot of people that said even years ago on low tide, it was able to walk from the mainland out there. So, if we're talking 300, 400, 500 years ago, Oak Island really wasn't an island as per se. It was more connected to the mainland than it is today.
Right. Yeah. So, and that kind of, when I think about the idea of it being two separate islands and that somebody filled it in, if you add to the fact of what you just said about the sea levels being much lower than possibly by 8 feet lower, and you could walk over, or maybe Oak Island was a peninsula then and not an island at all. Right. The idea of it being two islands really starts to be very hard to imagine, I think. Wouldn't you guys agree? I mean, what do you guys think about that? I mean,
yeah, because on the inside where Karen's boathouse is, Cover's boathouse, like that inside on the north towards the land, it's really shallow in there. Like even on today's standards, there's not a lot of water in there. So, I'd say there's probably, we were there in high tide and there was maybe 5 feet of water in there in that cove.
Right.
So back in the day, it would have been more swampier.
Yeah, Linda's asking you right there, if the water level was 8 feet lower, could you even get a ship in there?
Not on the inside, but on the outside, I guess southern side of the island.
The south side, yeah.
There is, but it's a really tricky area. Again, I'm quite excited for you to come down in the summer because when you watch the TV show, it kind of gives you a panning and you kind of see the picture, but it looks and feels much different when you're here in person because there's a lot more islands close to it.
Yep.
There's a lot of shoals, a lot of rockiness. Hence, it's a great place for lobster. Hence why there's a ton of lobster gear around the island right now.
Yeah.
So it's a really tricky spot to get in and out of with large boats.
So yeah, to me that makes the idea. And Jan is telling us there it was 12 inches below to 4 inches below, so an 8-inch difference. Okay. Um, but again, that means that it is ramping up, and that's what Marty was talking about. It seems like it's ramping up from the stone platform that was dated 1220, ramping up to the road that they found coming across with Aaron Taylor, Dr. Taylor, and that was also Miriam. They found that they were following that road along. So it looks like again that you've got that stone platform, you've got the ramp going up to the road that goes all the way down to the southeast corner of the swamp and appears to be going up into the uplands, kind of towards the north, that'd be done northeasterly direction. And so here, this road, that would be this. Well, let me bring the picture back so you can see what I'm talking about. This road here, going off up in this direction here somewhere. So, again, if they're all dated to be about the same time frame, and like I said, people kind of poo-poo this a little bit, but the idea is, what the heck were they doing? And you look back at 1200, what would they have been doing all this for?
And to build something that rugged.
I mean, we've talked about this before. Tom and I have kind of covered this, talking about the labor that it would have taken, and keep people busy and keeping them hauling stone in here and building this thing. But for what purpose?
I've heard, I mean, there's a million theories out. I know locally I was talking to a gentleman over on the weekend as well, and he said, because of course salt would have been a very big commodity back in the day, because again, everything as you were going back and forth from the new world to the old world, everything had to be packed and
salted. Yep.
It's salted, right? And I can't remember which side of it. I'm sure someone that's watching can chime in on this. There was quite a bit of an embargo, I think, the British had put on salt on the French.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Issues getting salt to, salt the fish and all these different materials to get them back overseas. So they were mining salt locally. So one of the theories, especially locally, was that a lot of these tunnels and so forth, and why there was such a commercial grade structure on Oak Island, is that they were pitting and pulling salt. So they're bringing for the ships to grade salt to make it back overseas again. Because there's a tremendous amount of fish and lots of natural resources. But the only way to get those natural resources from here back to Europe, or for any extended trip, you had to salt it, and it was a big problem getting it.
Wow!
But it was one of the theories was that they were mining salt on the island, and they had to build these structures to get these. You're talking big barrels and loads of salt from there onto smaller boats to get into the bigger boats to do their thing, right? So which is to me very plausible. Very plausible. It seems,
absolutely.
Because salt would have been almost as valuable of a commodity as gold would have been back then.
Yeah,
because everything everything was coming by ship, and you needed salt.
Yeah,
good point.
It was very important. Interesting. I asked Linda to keep this post here up from David, and talking about in 1382, Oak Island landmass extended halfway to Frog Island, and Smith's Cove would be approximately 500 to 600 yards to the shore. So I'm not sure exactly where David's getting that data, but I mean, man, if that's the case, you're talking. And again, I go back to that whole idea of Smith, or of the swamp being a lot. It might have still been some sort of a swamp at that time. But I mean, and they built that stone road in there in the platform for some reason. And you would almost have to guess it was for doing some sort of unloading of something. Why would you need a big platform like that? I just don't know. I don't know. And I don't know that we'll ever get a true answer on that. So yeah, cod was dried. Oh, what kind of a neat?
Yeah, they used to fill up the cod and put it on racks, open air racks, and let it dry in the summertime.
Yeah. Yep.
But again, to his point, only the Basque and the Portuguese use salt. Well, what do we see?
Right.
Potentially
And we
potentially
know
Portuguese
fishing
roads.
grounds.
Who was there on the island doing the stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The Portuguese. I mean, well, they got the Portuguese connection going like crazy right now, right?
And
So,
we don't know what the shore erosion was like too at the time, or what the island was actually like.
exactly.
The shape of the island, what soils eroded, moved to. I mean, basically, I've seen soil erosion around here actually create more land mass and make like the river shallower.
Yep.
From storms.
Yeah, I had said a while ago there was, I know not this winter was a pretty good one, mild one, but in previous winter. So on the north side of Oak Island, there's I'm sure a lot of people on here watching know the Island View restaurant, which is in Western Shore, which is just like literally kind of above to the left of Jeff's head in the picture.
Yes. Yeah.
Huge. And I'm telling you, like this was like, I don't know, like a 10 by 10 foot giant boulder that one of the storms had rolled up onto the property, onto the side of the building. So you can imagine over hundreds of years, the hurricanes and storms. So to your point, Tom, like the island would look quite different today than it did back then, in my opinion, just between water level and erosion and changing.
Well, I think Tony on his tour told us that Isaac's Point or something in one storm lost like 100 feet of shoreline or something like that.
Yeah, because again, I'm a believer, but I'm quite interested to watch your opinion and your feedback, Jeff. When you drive around the island, like Isaac's Point, like there's some big rocks, like you got to really go way out and around.
Right.
And you can even see in the picture behind you, those the shade under the water. So you're thinking, you can imagine if you lost even 6 feet of water, like it would really look completely different. And there's some big shoals out around the island. And between Frog and Oak Island is called Frog Island Shoal.
Right.
Which back in the day, you would have been hitting with a boat. You would have seen it. It's it'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, somebody, and this is let's see, Colin. This is Wanda asking his question or making this. Yeah, Colin, how far and deep is it from Oak Island to Frog Island, or is it Apple Island that's closer? So Frog Island, yeah, you mentioned the shoulder.
They'd be equidistant. So the island in the picture behind you of Oak Island, the other one to the very top,
one up here, right here.
That's
Frog, right?
part of Frog Island right there.
Yep.
Apple Island and Squid Island, which are to the right of that, so more south, they're very small and they have huge shoals on them as well. Yep. I think I don't know, it was last summer or the summer before, we pulled a sailboat off of an older couple that ran aground on Apple Island with their sailboat.
Yeah. And even Tony Sampson talked about that shoal there, the Frog Island Shoal, talked about that because they were over there. Remember when they did the magnetometer survey and then they dove and stuff over there? Yeah. And he talked about that very much, about how it is really, you got to be careful in that spot going through there. So
yeah, it'd be tough when you use like the magnetometer and stuff, because there'd be a ton of lobster gear that would have been lost in around those areas. And they used to use, lead weights and stuff, some rocks and different things in them, but there'd be some metal materials in some of those things out there. Right?
Yeah, Zane isn't there still believed to be a shipwreck near Frog Island?
There's a ton of shipwrecks around. Yeah. There's lots and lots of shipwrecks.
Yep. Sorry, Tom, what were you going to say?
I'm going to say, and even some of the modern lobster traps aren't made of wood anymore.
Yeah.
So there's lots of it's called ghost gear, like stuff that gets lost or gets laid, and there's a weather event or something, a boat runs over a line. So there's lots of stuff that gets lost in there.
Yeah. Cat talking about it right there. Yeah. Now metal cage traps get lost. Yeah. And they're going to show up on the magnetometer survey.
And sometimes you don't just lose a trap. There could be 8 or 10 lobster traps on one string.
And I'm telling you, there's some pile of equipment in the water out there.
What's it? You get those deep echoing voices on air on a regular basis. The echoing voices. I got echoing voices going on. Yeah, Anne Marie. Say good night, Anne Marie. Thanks for coming by. She had to. I mean, she's over in Germany. I mean, goodness gracious.
That's awesome.
She's up really late, like 3 o'clock in the morning or something to watch the show.
I think it's my favorite thing about all of this is the fact that so many people are so interested in what's going on in our backyard. I find I'm always amazed at how many people from around the world watch it. And a couple of years ago, I was on a trip. I was down in Texas, and anyway, going to a football game in Dallas, and I see this huge billboard on the highway, and it's the Curse of Oak Island on a billboard. I'm like,
yeah, talking about a place that you can see out your window of your house.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Barry White voice. Yes, it gets a little worse this time of year, Kat, because of the pollen and everything going on, and I allergies, and it gets a little. You ought to hear it when I get a little bit of a sinus infection. You should hear it then. It gets even more. Samson's company dug up 37 tons of buoy nets and nets working the bay with the Bay Authority 8 months ago. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Sad but true.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, so let's jump back in here and we'll get this going. And as they're doing this, and again, we're going to talk about this again in just a little bit when we get over talking about the Nolan's Cross. When we get to that section, we'll be talking about this place right here again. But Gary gets another metal hit, and of course, he finds another spike out there that he thinks is some sort of a decking spike or something like that from a ship. You know, how many times have we found pieces of something in the swamp that it resembles or would be part of or from a ship? There's been a lot now, and again, as we've talked about this with Tom and I have talked about this, and Colin, you know, how many times would some of shipwrecks pieces float in there from storms and everything else? A lot. So we can't really say that it's a ship that's underneath the muck or whatever in the swamp because we just don't know. Even Colin just talked about that big stone, and I want to see that. Is that stone still there, Colin? Up against the big boulder that blew in?
No, they would have moved. That wouldn't get moved back. It's moved down, but just
has it?
You'll see all those.
I think you post a picture of that last fall, Colin, or somebody did. I remember seeing a picture of it.
Yeah, there was a picture of it. Yeah,
well, it was up on the shore there with all the seaweed and stuff around it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was an old one.
Mm-hmm. If that can happen, then something like this could certainly get blown into the swamp from a storm.
Well, and that's what Gary gets so excited when he goes back when the season always starts, because the beaches are all churned up and everything changed in the wintertime, and you're gonna find stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, and there's a shot here, and this is kind of looking at, I think we might have one more right here. Yeah, this is the ramp that's heading up into the uplands from the swamp area, and they're out there with the hydrovac, and they're sucking all the muck and everything off from it so they can get a good look at it. Again, you can clearly see these guys are walking on a stone ramp.
Oh, no question about it.
There's no question about it. And again, like I said earlier, it just goes back to why. Why would somebody have gone to all this trouble back around 1200 to build something like this? And who? I mean, it's not going to be the Mi'kmaq. The Mi'kmaq are not going to build something like this. They're not going to go through that effort that I can understand. So in 1200 AD, that's a wide range. Yes, it is. Very wide.
Yeah, and I can't see the Mi'kmaq doing something on that scale.
No. Darlene, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Darlene.
Yeah, Jeff, you're getting spoiled tonight, bud. Holy
I'm telling you, man, it's thank you. That's I just get kind of choked up a little bit. Yeah, thank you so much, appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Here's another look at it here, and you can see, and it's heading up. It's heading up up this way toward the stone road that runs across up here this way. So
I mean, it's obviously purposeful, right? I mean, if you were just clearing farmland or whatever and throwing rocks in a swamp to get rid of them, you certainly wouldn't take time to shape them like that. You'd just throw them in the swamp to get rid of them, right?
Yep. Yeah, and look at the size of these over here that they pulled up.
Mm.
I mean, those are huge. Now, what would they have been used for? I have no idea. I'm kind of curious if any of those had any of those ring bolts.
The anchor
Yeah,
bolts.
yeah. You know, they were used for something like that.
Wondering the same thing myself. You can flip them around, see if there's any holes in them.
Yeah, I'm sure they checked them. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer now, and that's one of those things we just don't see all of that kind of stuff that happens. But, yeah. So what was cool though, and I don't know. Yeah, I did get a picture of it here. Later on in the episode, they bring out Ian, of course, and he's the guy who finds those sticks. And he did find this. He found a couple of them. He just pulls up, one right out of the muck. He pulls up one of the stones. It was about that big. And right underneath it is one of these sticks. Then he found another one underneath another one. So yeah, get these things dated. And he said that one was smashed. You could actually see how flattened out it is.
It was crushed. I thought it was an alder branch or something, didn't he?
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, he'll get that dated. We may find out. Hopefully we could find out next week. I don't know. That's something they don't have in the interpretive center for all their gear and everything for dating these things. They don't have, I don't think that they have anything in there that's going to date the wood to get a date on the wood. But I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, if it comes out to be about the same, about 1200, which I bet it does. I almost put money on the fact that I bet it does come out to be about 1200, just like the platform and everything else.
Yeah.
Again, why?
It'd be game over then.
It truly is. I mean, then you got to figure out who would have. Now you know what was built.
Who was traveling around that time that we know of, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know what was built. You know when it was built. All you got to figure out now is who and who would have been in the area in that time frame. So. All right, it is time for the giveaway. So we'll do this. We'll get Linda up on here with us, and remember, this is for the. Let me find that picture once more, and I'll show you guys real quick. And it is for these. And this is created. Les Bitten made these. And he donated these or gave these to us for a donation for the show. So, so we'll clear this out of the way. And Linda will do the spin. How you doing, Linda?
I'm doing pretty good. I do have somebody on my porch, so I'm going to do this really fast. What can I say?
I know. It's just funny. We've talked about that before. That's hilarious. But, Jeff's favorite drink, the stars, the Pepper Stars. I like that. That's good. Who said that? Pepper Stars. That was Michelle.
Even my granddaughter thought they were really cool. The 14-year-old was over here the other day, and she's like, "Oh my God, where did you get those stars?"
Yeah, they are cool. They are pretty cool. Yeah.
I said, "Well,
I don't care.
A friend made them, but I have to tell you, Show Jeff doesn't like them."
Yeah, Show Jeff doesn't like them. Well, I like the stars. The stars are great. I just don't want to drink what's in the cans.
Katie calls Show Jeff.
Yeah.
To differentiate between another Jeff that we know.
Who sent me? Was that Jan that sent me the Dr. Pepper flavored? Peeps?
Yes, it might have been.
And I actually then there was the jelly beans, and I actually ate one on the air, and it was like it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it was still. All right, so let's do that spin, and we'll see who gets these.
All right, here we go.
See a lot of familiar names going by. Karen Howard.
Awesome.
Karen Howard. All right.
Very
Karen,
cool.
Are you here? Is Karen Howard here tonight? I think I saw her name earlier.
I thought I did too.
Must be present to win. You got to jump on Facebook or on the chat and say you're here. And lots of names going around on there tonight. Woo-hoo,
There were
Karen.
a ton of people. Dr. Pepper stars must be very popular.
Must be very popular.
They
Listen,
must.
We'll
And
bring a
Les
couple of
has
cases
made
of
me
Dr.
some
Pepper
for
on the
next
book,
season.
Jeff.
What's that?
So we'll bring in a couple of cases of Dr. Pepper so we can lure some of the boys out.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. We'll say, Rick, we got your shipment over here.
Drag it behind the boat, and you'd be trolling for them. You see them swimming out from shore.
That's right.
I love that one commercial where somebody had taken that can and they tossed it out on a line and hooked that dude. I don't remember. Karen, yes, I'm here. There's Karen over on Facebook side. Karen is here. All right. So, Karen, get a hold of Linda and send a private message to Linda.
Send me a message with your address and I'll get these out in the mail.
That's awesome.
Yep. All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thank you. Linda. All right. That's cool. And then, of course, we'll have something again for next week. And then for our show on Friday, there's no show tomorrow night. I've been doing some Bigfoot stuff on Thursday nights. No show tomorrow night because I have to get packed up and heading back north. But I do have a show on Friday night. We're going to be talking about Skinwalker Ranch, episode number 2 of season 4. We'll be going through that on Friday night, and there is a giveaway for that. I think it's a Skinwalker. Well, it's got that kind of like their logo for Skinwalker Ranch. We'll show that one, but we'll be giving that away on Friday night. All right, so let me now we're going to jump over and do something a little different here. Colin, as we know, has been going out in his boat again this year and going around Oak Island and sharing with us some of the pictures that he has been getting. And of course, now that we have him here with us, it's a perfect time to have him talk about this a little bit and kind of share with us his what he's seen while he was there. So let me get started with the first one, and then we got a little video too. Okay, so this looks like this is off the swamp looking at Nolan's Peninsula over here. Is that correct?
Yeah. It would have been right. The tide was high, and we just had the small boat, so we were able to get nice and close. So the swamp is certainly filled back in. There was no activity on the go, but you could see a few sharp eyes. Tom, you were definitely one of them. You can see that little white post. I think there's another picture that shows a little bit better, but
all right.
We think those are some Muon sensors that were in there.
Yeah, the Muon sensors. Yeah, because remember Tom had spotted that when they were showing when they did the magnetometer survey of the swamp. And then they showed the pictures of the data later. They were showing the red spots by Nolan's Peninsula that were around there. And there was on the bottom of that road, there was 3 spots that said Muon sensors right there. Or wells or something. Muon wells.
Yep.
Yeah. So
the Muon sensors themselves have to be in enclosed, contained wells. They can't be exposed to the salt water.
Yep. Yeah. Here's and here you can see it again. Right here. That's one of them right there.
Yeah.
And we believe
it's interesting that they kind of fill everything back in over the winter time.
Yeah.
And then once the spring start to do. So I find it fun with the pictures because you can see as the season progresses and what's changing, and then when the actual next season starts up to try to match up what you see to what's actually happening.
Yeah. This is great because
look at the right-hand side of that picture on the right-hand edge of the swamp there. Is that piles of dirt that they've just piled up over the years, or is that?
Oh, these here?
No. Yeah, right down there. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought my initial thinking was that is the area where they were uncovering the road that's going along that edge. But I don't know if they were ever there before. Colin, do you remember if they were there like that before?
Yeah. In that corner, it wasn't here last year, but in the fall they had the like one of those tripods, shakers.
Yeah.
They were putting it in. I don't know if they were putting the spoils in those piles there that they were digging out in the corner. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right, so let's move on to the next one here. And this looks like we're looking from where is this? Is this down at the Smith Cove?
This is from Smith's Cove looking up. So the wash plant is a little to the right. Really, again, there's nothing really going on. You can see another Muon sensor to the left in that picture?
Oh yeah, right there. Yeah, sure enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
What's
They got them all over the island.
Yeah, and they all seem to be at about the same level from sea level, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, the ones up in the money pit area, they had to cover when they put those stone or the block around it, the big concrete blocks, and then they put the cover on it, and that was to protect them because they're over there working and they didn't want to destroy them or whatever, so they covered them up, but to protect them up there. But
I also think the ones that are higher up actually had to dig and put them down so that all the sensors are at the same
makes sense.
Height.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This looks like a fishing boat or something out there.
Yeah, that's Frog Island is just behind the left, and then the little tiny island you see to the right of the boat that's Apple Island.
So that's Apple, and this is Frog over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This looks like on the money pits on South Shore, looking up at the money pit a little bit there.
Yeah, there's another sensor.
Sensor.
I'd be interested over the next few weeks. I'm not going to be able to make it out this weekend or next weekend, but so 3 weeks from now, I'll do another, and then we can kind of compare to see, has anything changed? Have they been tampering and working on the sensors? Have they pulled anything up? It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it would be. Definitely would be. Okay, here we are looking right up at the money pit there again. And again, like you said, there's not a whole lot of stuff going on right now because they're just getting out on the island and things are just getting rolling. So,
but we have, I know locally, I was down having coffee in Chester the other day, and I've run across a few of the people from the show. They're around. One of the boys was walking his dog and stuff like that. So they're
gathering.
It's starting, yeah.
That's a good sign. Here we are again. Okay, this is looking, I think this might be, I might have ended up with the same picture twice there, looks like. But you can see that sensor right here in the middle. And this looks like another, looking up at the money pit again from South Shore.
Work my way back around towards Isaac Point.
Oh, and now you can, and now you can see one of the sensors there. It looks like there might be one right here also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, man, they did put a lot of those in, didn't they? I think these were the ones that we actually saw. There was a drilling down when Matty Blake was out on the island. He was talking to Joe Lessard, and they were talking. You could see the drill rig was happening over his shoulder, and we had talked about that. I think that's when they were drilling these.
That's right.
Down here to put these in.
Yeah.
I wonder how deep they go. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
I wonder if they're trying to figure out where the finger drains and drain tunnels are all going.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I remember that I remember being there the day that they had the sonic drill rig, and it was like right down by the water. And I was like, what in God's name would they be digging a hole so close to the water for? But clearly it was to put these tubes or sensors or whatever.
Casings down,
yeah, I don't know how deep they go down.
Yep. All right. Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out just how deep they went. Oh, here's a long shot looking at Smith's Cove. And, of course, we got the wash plant right over here. Looking up. That's a great picture right there. And then Isaac's Point, of course, be over here.
Yeah.
That's a great picture. And obviously you see the crane is gone and everything, so they didn't keep it out there over the winter. Of course, they wouldn't want to do that anyway. Pay for it over there all year. I sure hope we get to see the wash plant fired up because, that's one of the things that I was really concerned about. What they did with they obviously kept all the spoils that they took out of the garden shaft with the hammer grab going down there and pulling all that stuff up. They put it in the back of the dump truck. Where did it go? Where did they pile all that? They had to pile it somewhere, let it dry or whatever. And then Gary would be checking it out. I went, sure. With his metal detector and everything, but you would think that they would go through on the wash table and get Jack over there with the fire hose, blowing all that off there. Again,
it'll be interesting to see this year because I remember last year it was really late in the year before they actually were doing a lot of heavy equipment stuff, like even the Dumas mining operation that didn't start till like later September. Like that wasn't until late in the year before they actually got out and started messing with that stuff. So
yeah. Yeah, that's what somebody had said to me earlier too. Said, "Well, you're going on in June. You might miss all the good stuff because a lot of it starts happening later in the season." But that's when I had the opportunity to go. Renee asked a question: Does filming automatically mean a new season? You know, that's one of those questions that we always ask about this every year. You know, that comes up, and we always wonder about that. You would think. Pretty much, Renee, no point in spending all that money with no season. You would think that there's actually a signed contract,
yeah.
at least for one more season. So, I mean, like Linda just said, all the cameras will show up out there and everything. You would assume that there's a contract between Prometheus and the History Channel, because Prometheus being the production company that does all this, and then they sell the show to the History Channel. And you would assume that there's a contract between them before they get started on this. Does it mean absolutely for sure? I suppose there's a clause in there where they could back out of it if they needed to for some reason, but
I would expect probably that when they sign a contract for those things, they're probably not year to year because the companies have to plan, right?
yeah.
So you'd probably sign a 5-year contract, renewal option, that type of thing. So you're paying for it anyway. You know, you're and then you can decide what you're going to air or not air.
Yeah. Not being part of a production company, I really don't know all the details on that, but my guess is like what Tom just said, or yeah, I think at this point, Charles says that. Oh, okay. Talking about the Bulger speech. Yeah, I can't imagine they would not renew it. Yeah, still has very high ratings. So yeah.
Yeah, they're still getting 2 million plus viewers in the US every week. So
yep. Yeah, exactly. So all right. Well, Colin, we're going to be looking forward to seeing more pictures. You had a video too, and I can show that real quick.
That was the only place that there was actually activity on the go was lot 5. Yeah.
All right. Let me. I'm going to pause this, and I'll show this little video real quick. Now, and you'll have to set this up for us. Where was this actually taken?
That's lot 5.
Okay. Oh, okay. Lot 5, and there is a sign there. I see a sign right here.
Yeah.
Right there in the middle. There is a sign.
There was a guy with a chainsaw. They were cutting trees down on lot 5, and then as soon as I stood up with the camera, he put the chainsaw down. I was hoping actually, because you could hear him, he was cutting and going. And then, I don't know if he's seen me or whatever, but as soon as he stopped and he put the chainsaw down, I'm like, come on, man, I'm not.
The tree police.
Cut the tree in the video for me, for God's sakes.
Yeah. So here we go. We're going to roll along here, but so we're looking at lot 5, and yeah, it's still being cleared out there. It looks like pretty good.
And there's a ton. I know it's kind of hard to see on this now. It's kind of choppy, but you can see a ton of those little red flags and stuff all over the place too. Those little marker flags in lot 5.
Yeah. And so Gary's holding out on us, man. I mean, I'm trying to see if I could spot a few of them here. Yeah, it's hard to see. Especially if you're looking at your phone right now. On
the guy was up in the top left-hand corner who was going with the chainsaw. In here, you can see a whole little raft of those little flags are all in there.
Yeah. Wow. Man, I can't wait to get out there.
Who was what they found on lot 5 this season, I mean, you got to get back in there, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep. And you would think that we could see, that stone circle that stone pit has to be. You would think you could probably see it at least in the wintertime, or
right. And where that picture is, it's quite matted down and cleared out in there. So they've been they're beating away at that pretty hard.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. Man, I can't. When does has the leaves started to pop yet at all? Are you getting any buds on the trees yet, or?
Yeah, just starting out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, here in Pennsylvania, they're coming out pretty good now. They're probably about half grown on the softwoods anyway. Yeah, so we'll see what I get when I get up to Michigan. There's probably still snow on the ground up in Michigan. Wouldn't doubt that. All right. So we're going to continue on. Yeah, very high tide, Jan said. Yeah, that was high tide as he mentioned, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's get to the next place here. Get back on my pictures. That one of the highlights of this particular episode was that the guy, there we go. The guys were able to get over to, I was frozen there, wasn't I?
You're
I
good.
can tell both of you guys are frozen. It means it's me.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Your audio is always working really good, though.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, at least hopefully I'm not stuck with my mouth open in a weird, making a weird face or something.
If you see us going like this, you'll know. Yeah.
All right. So the guys make it over to Italy. This is Rick and Alex and Peter and Doug, I believe was the team that went over to Italy. And they go over to, and we saw in the war room last week, we saw Emiliano there. And now he invited them to come over so they could get a good look at what was going on at some of the things. Okay. Yeah. And Corjan also. Yes. Thank you. Corjan Mall. Over there in, I tell you what, one of the things that I get not only do they always seem to find very interesting things when they go abroad, every single time they go over there. I mean, the Rochefoucauld's, the Dome, the prison in Dome, and I mean, all the different places. And then when they went over with Gretchen to Royston Cave, and then now going over here with all of this stuff, and then to Portugal, or Portugal, as some would call it. They do come back every single time. They come back with interesting ties. And again, on this trip, interesting ties between Oak Island. And it just begs to ask the question, why? Why do they always find these things that tie the two places together? This is basically what they were showing us, where this particular Camerano, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Camerano. Linda's nodding. Okay, I got it right. Woohoo! That's about the only one I'm going to try. That's where they were. And here's Emiliano and Alberto that they met over there. And again, this is where they're going to get a look at these particular tunnels that they saw there in Camerano. And they were talking about Alberto, and that was talking about the fact that they date back more 2,500 years and are an underground system of man-made labyrinths. One point of interest, it was the one of the caves is almost identical to the lead cross that was found on Oak Island, and that's obviously this one right here. Yeah. Now, I mean, Tom and I were talking about this with Linda, and that talking about the fact that, I mean, you're going to make these tunnels underground. You would imagine. I thought about like these here being very similar to what you would see in Egypt in the Valley of the Kings. The tombs and whatnot, very similar to some of those in construction. But this one, why would you make a tunnel like that? With a circle?
Why do you need a tunnel with a roundabout in it?
Yeah, with a roundabout in it. Unless, of course, it has a meaning to it, a particular meaning. And in this case, I think it does. They talked about how it matches almost identically. The lean of the head is going the other direction from the lead cross, but it depends on which way you're looking at this.
Flip it over, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Flip it over. Ceremony. Renee says ceremony. Yes, that's kind of what I was thinking.
And one arm was longer than the other, same as the lead cross.
And yes, and they pointed that out when they were inside. They definitely made a comment about that when they were inside. And here you go. This is one of the ones like these here that I was talking about that are a tunnel or a passage going down with all the little alcoves on each end. That's this here. And again, we really don't know what all these little alcoves are for. Robert just posted a picture of that, the tunnels, and then there's a key. And it does look like a key of some sort, but not with the cross on it. But yeah, it does. It does kind of look like a key. But yeah, so you got all these little alcoves sticking out. So yeah, pretty neat. But the architecture. This is something that Rick said when he was down there. You know, he thought that we were just looking at basically carved out tunnels that have been chiseled out of the rock. But then you get down there and you find all this amazing architecture inside.
And the other thing you can think about too is, right, you know, we always talk about, oh my goodness, how much manpower did they use on Oak Island to build these roads? The Oak Island manpower would be nothing compared to what it would take to build those.
Yep. David said the long arm is on the head dominant side on both the cross and in that tunnel. That's an interesting point. Thank you, David. I did not
very good point.
Yeah. Very interesting. So tunnels are the easiest way to do it. They were tunneling and it was easy way. I don't know. I can't believe that these tunnels are how they right and how they were built, carving them out. I mean, there's so many amazing ancient structures. I mean, you talk about places like Petra. Petra is amazing to me that they carved out that whatever that is, some kind of a citadel or some kind of a religious place. They carved it out of a stone mountain and they just started with it and they went inside and carved it out. It's amazing. And those ones that are carved out like in the mountain, they're like a hole. They started at the top and started digging their way down and made a monument down in. Just amazing to me how they did that. Yes, she did. Yeah, I actually grabbed a picture of that. Alessandra put a gorgeous picture of Petra on our page the last day or two, and that's just amazing. That stuff is. He was talking about in this here. Let me see if I can find this here. Let's see. Oh, one of the things here, Camerano, Italy, dates back to 1198. And the people there, the Piceni, were the first documented civilization of that area and are believed to have created the cave system in 600 BC. Wow. It became part of the Roman Empire. During the 12th and 14th centuries, it was a stronghold for the Knights Templar, who modified parts of the cave system, but it is not sure why. Emiliano said he didn't expect the caves to be so artfully designed, and he explains the beginning of the cave system was modeled after the Holy Sepulchre. Dates to the 13th century and is very similar to what is in Jerusalem. Alberto tells the team that after the Knights Templar were dissolved, they began digging underground places to gather because they were in hiding. They like I think Corjan said it on the show. They literally went underground.
Literally, yep.
Yeah, literally. So again, you go back to these things, and here's a picture of them going in and having a look at a little further inside. Here's that shot showing the stone, the triangle, and also the cave system. That's interesting too, though. I had not realized that the head dominant side is also the side with the longer arm.
Yeah, so just take the blood cross and just flip it. There you go.
It. There you go. You got it. Yeah. I mean, what's that? Keep finding these things, and they found that carving on the wall and dome, the prison.
And when you think about it, if that lead cross was poured in a mold, right, the center line going down, right, would be on the bottom of the mold, right? It wouldn't be on the top.
Yes, that's true. Right, and if you do flip the cross over, it's flat on the other side, which would have been the top of the mold.
Yeah.
So it would have been exactly the same. The mold would have been the same as the tunnel layout.
Yeah.
Very interesting point, Tom. That's really cool. The other thing they found was this plate. And again, you kind of wonder what this plate was for to begin with. It was obviously modeled out of clay and hardened. You've got a cross on it right in the center here. And then you've got this little 3-pronged, what do they call this, a goose foot?
They called it goose paw, didn't they?
Goose paw, thank you. Yes,
yeah,
it was.
It must be a European goose because the Canadian geese have feet. Paws.
Goose paw. Yeah. Goose paw. I was kind of wondering when I was looking at this thing, it was, what is this for? And this right here. And again, you got one over on this side. Almost like something was being poured across it or poured through it or something. I mean, would this have possibly been some sort of a mold for like making like a lead cross or something? I don't know. I kind of wondered about that because you've got this like it's a poured area.
Or was it broken and then put back together?
Possibly. Yeah. Quite possibly. Yeah, and here's the one they found on the rock that was carved in the rock in Liverpool.
Liverpool, yeah.
Yep.
Nova Scotia. Yep.
Yeah. I'd like to see this. I don't know. It's on private property. I'm assuming this is private property. I doubt I'll be able to get a look at it, but boy, that'd be interesting. I'd love to see it in myself being there. Maybe I'd go and ask the guys, hey, can I go check that out? Probably everybody wants to go see it now, now that it's been on television. And there's where Corjan was taking showing the picture that he had and matching it up to what's on this. Again, really
pretty
interesting.
Close. Pretty close.
Pretty darn close. Yeah. And did we ever figure out definitively what that thing means? What they're on the rock in Liverpool? I mean, I don't know if we ever found out exactly what it meant.
No.
I know Gretchen did a little show on it. She did a little podcast or a video on it, and it's on our Facebook group page.
I've heard some people say that they thought that was a sign that sort of the Templars would leave saying we were here type of thing, or establishing it as a Templar location or Templar property or Templar claim.
Yeah. So, I think that it's a casting of whatever would have been originally done. The original was probably stored in a safe. And I don't know. It's interesting. It looked to me like it would be some sort of a casting or something, but I don't know. I really don't know what it would be. But when you would make a casting, you would make a mold for something. You'd make it out of clay because you could mold it into whatever shape you wanted, and then you just pour that stuff into it later. Do an interview with them. Who's them, Renee? I missed that part. I'm not sure who them is.
The owner of the property.
Yes. Thank you, Colin. That makes sense. I could approach him with that. Hey, I'm a podcaster. I'm gonna do an interview here. A mold plate. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. A mold plate of some kind. That's kind of what hit me when I saw this thing. It just seemed like it was like a wax seal. Yeah, or some kind of thing like it reminds of a wax seal. I don't know. Triple tau. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool. And I noticed this, and it made me think right away when I saw this right here, the side view. Until I saw that line, I was thinking that it almost looked like it was, like the talking about the 13, like the tree of life with the 13 branches. When I saw these little things right here, and I wondered how many are there? Did they count them? Was that 13? But now I see it from the other view, looking down on it, and I'm thinking, okay, that's probably not what it was. Just interesting that I saw those little indentations right there, and I was thinking about the tree of life with the 13 leaves. Okay, so when they finish up at this place here, they jump over to Osimo, and they're meeting with Professor Fabrizio. I'm going to leave it at that because I cannot pronounce that last
Close
name.
enough.
Yes, thank you. Who is a historian and a modern day member of the Knights Templar outside of the Grotto Simonetti in Osimo. Emiliano tells the group that the cave system is about 30 kilometers wide. And then
that's crazy.
It truly is. Yeah. It was created about almost 2,000 years ago, around the year of 1160 AD. So a lot of time right in that mid 1100s time frame. Amazing places in Italy. Amen, Wanda. Yes, I agree. And I keep thinking, and I would love, I got to get over there. I have to get over there at some point. You know, it's taken me this long to get to Oak Island. I'll probably never make it, but
yeah, saying I saw the necklace. Yeah, this gentleman was a Templar. Yeah, modern day Templar. Yeah,
yeah,
or is a modern day Templar. Yeah,
these places are just so awesome.
Next week, I'm going to the south of France on the Mediterranean.
Are you really?
I'm going to Cannes and Côte d'Azur and see some of the Roman ruins and stuff there. So,
wow.
Yeah, it should be pretty cool. Well, if I see any symbols on the walls, I'll take some pictures and I'll put them on.
We better see some pictures anyway, period. Is this business or pleasure?
A little bit of a little combo.
Okay. All right. All right. I know that's none of our business. Sorry about that. Yeah, he said the cave system was reestablished as the Knights Templar stronghold. During the 14th century, it was believed to have been a place used as a place of refuge for surviving members of the Knights Templar. Obviously, they had to run, they had to hide. And so here they are meeting with the professor right here. And again, one of these amazing pictures of these amazing places. Man, it's just so cool. You see some of this stuff over there. Here they are going inside. You see Emiliano going inside, taking them in. And again, we talk about the actual structures of this place and the artwork that was created to build them.
Yeah,
fantastic. Now this looks a little bit. You get down here and it looks a little bit more rugged, of what more like you would expect to see without all the fancy artwork. But they wanted to come in here and get a look around again to see if they were able to find anything that matches up with what they found on Oak Island.
What's really cool to see in those, though, is all the chisel marks in the wall, right? You know, this was not done with a drilling machine. This was done by some guy going.
Yeah,
with a chisel.
The chisel marks on the wall. Wow. Oh, David, man, I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you. I appreciate your saying that. But man, my dad, and my dad passed from the same exact thing. So, you know, prayers for you, for sure, David. Wow. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. But anyway, so yeah, you see these chisel marks on the wall. That's really, really interesting. And here's the whole team in there, you know, going down inside to get a look. Yeah, there's that necklace that you were just talking about. Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, Scott Barlow's wearing his Nova Scotia Community College shirt too.
And hat. I noticed the hat as well.
Nice.
NSCC. Attaboy.
Yeah. Where's that? Everywhere he goes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And again, look what you find. He's wearing it there, you know, carving on the wall right there. I mean, even with all the rough cuts everywhere else on the wall, and they cut that into it right there. So what does that tell you? Who was there? You know, pretty obvious, in my opinion. And then they got a cross in this little alcove right here. There's a cross up on the wall, carved in there. And where have we seen this before? This is very interesting because there's been a couple places that we've seen this. Now, immediately, Rick was talking about how he had seen this on the something similar to it on the wall in Dome, the prison. And then they really, when they were showing some pictures of that, the only thing they really showed was like the Tree of Life with that triangle base on it. It was actually, I think he was looking, it was a Tree of Life, or was it actually one of the menorahs that's very similar to the ground menorah that is in at the Versailles, at the castle there in Versailles. And it had that triangle base on it. And that's what he was referring to here when he was talking about the triangle bottom on this particular carving. And And then we've seen it. This is where when Gretchen took them to Dome, and again, and I didn't capture it in this picture, but it's got that triangle base.
Yeah.
But you notice one of the things you notice. See how the arm is in the air here, and here also.
Yeah.
So is that the same? Depicting the same person? I think very likely. I don't know. I mean, it looks very similar. You don't see the crown on the head here in this one, but the arm and then the triangle shaped, whatever you want to call that, a dress or clothing or robe or whatever, and you see it here and there. You see my initials on there. That's pretty cool. I thought that was kind of neat. Somebody carved my initials on the wall right there. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was, Jeff was here. And here's a little wider shot of that same thing. But, in all of them, look here. You see this one? That arm curled and extended up. Same thing here with that triangle base. So, to me, that's the same. That's Royston Cave. Yes, exactly. Where Gretchen took the team to. Yes.
So if nothing else, then the people who drew them or whatever probably had some form of common influence.
Right.
Even if it was hundreds of years apart.
Yeah. And look at the wall. Look at the wall where there's not a carving. You look at the wall above, the same kind of, chipping away marks as in here. At least it looks like it, in my opinion, anyway. Yeah, where they were taken to an oath or something. We don't know. That's what I think Gretchen called the Royston Cave an initiation chamber.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know if that's assuming that she's correct. Craig, thank you, sir. Craig, Oklahoma Youper. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Very kind of you guys. So a lot of things that are matching up here, aren't they? Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. Didn't Xena mention this lady back when they found the cross? Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't recall that. I don't know.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah. If you can find that, bring it up. Bring that up. Yeah. Here's something that I noticed. I don't know if anybody else caught this. What do you see right here?
Skull and crossbones.
Skull and crossbones. Man, I'm telling you, remember when Gretchen and I talked about this a long time ago? And she talked about how, because of the betrayal of the Catholic Church to the Knights Templar, and all during that time frame, they had used the skull and crossbones as a symbol of something. I can't remember all the details to that, but they had used the skull and crossbone. Now, where do you see skull and crossbones in, over in, say, the Caribbean and up and down the coast of North America with the pirates?
You also see it. You also see it on 17th or 16th century grave markers, used to ward away the evil spirits.
Yeah, the symbol of John the Baptist. Yeah, Marilyn. Thank you, Marilyn. I caught that as soon as it was on the show and they walked by it and they never even said anything about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. Yeah, it was John the Baptist. It was supposed to be a couple of his bones in his skull. And that was what they were using. And then we saw, now did the pirates of North America just adopt that? Or is it possible that some of them maybe had something to do with becoming pirates, the Templars or something from, I don't know. I know that's a stretch. That's a stretch. I think John Edwards and I were talking about something like that at one time. That's St. Catherine of Alexandria. Okay. And that, the lady that I was showing earlier, St. Catherine of Alexandria. Thank you, John. And that's St. Catherine's wheel next to her. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep. Thank you. That was, this wheel right here. This wheel right here. St. Catherine's. Yeah, exactly, Craig. That's what I was just talking about. How they became the first pirates. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but boy, it just sure seems odd, doesn't it? You got this skull and crossbones, and that's what they were using on their flag. And Gretchen had mentioned that too. How they had that that skull and crossbones. Yeah, the Templars became the first pirates. It's possible. I kind of want to believe that they did. This symbol here was found later. I got to move along here. We're running out of time, and I'm not even to the end of this yet. But they found this emblem, and we've seen this on the HO stone. They also saw this in Portugal. Here's the HO stone. They also saw it on the Portugal. They saw it up on the wall there. There was like a Templar or a cross bate, and in the center of it was a circle with a hole in the middle of it. Just like that. It symbolized gold or the sun or, a couple of different things, but it was definitely that on the HO stone. So there's your tie with Oak Island right there. One of them.
Yep.
One of the many. And then they were talking about this being that crescent moon, which is also found in a couple of different places on the
Overton stone for one.
Overton stone. Thank you. I was at a complete loss there for a minute. Thank you for saving me. On the Overton stone. And then I forget where this one was. This one was on I think this was in Portugal also. This one here on the left.
Yeah, it's also commonly seen on the Mi'kmaq flags as well.
Yep. Yes. Mi'kmaq flags. Yes. Thank you. Oh, again, a beautiful photograph. And this, it's just love. I would love to go
amazing places. Yeah.
Oh man. And I didn't know if this guy owns this place or not, but just look at that. I mean, that's just awesome. And here it is close up. And they are meeting there with Professor Gaspini, author and
Archaeoastronomer. Yeah,
Thank
astronomer.
You. An astrophysicist, which is same thing as Dr. Travis Taylor, astrophysicist, for his opinion on when Nolan's Cross was created. Now, this was the other important part that I was talking about earlier with the stone platform and the swamp and the road and all of that, where we get to that. So by studying the stars and constellations along with the placement of the boulders, he can determine the appropriate era or epoch when the cross was created. Now, how does he go about doing that? And here's a picture of the professor. Now, here's Nolan's Cross. Now, when they make these ancient structures like this one here, and I forget where the name of this one is, but this is Tepe. I had it on the tip of my tongue before the show started. Gebeki Tempe, something like that. I've forgotten the name of it now. But they, in these ancient structures, and also Stonehenge, they are supposedly created so that they line up with certain stars or maybe the rising and the setting of the sun to figure your summer solstice. Göbekli Tepe. Thank you, Kat. I was close. So they would, the sun and the rising and setting of the sun throughout the seasons, how it moves, also the star formations, all these different things that they would use for tracking this sort of thing. Was the date given by the astrophysicist give or take a few months, or was there a date range? I don't recall.
For Nolan's Cross? He said about 1200 AD.
Yeah. Which was the interesting
He just gave a year. He didn't, in the area of. He didn't give any months, I don't think.
Which is, thank you. There you go. Linda just answered the question there for us. He used the term epic, which is a range. Yeah. And so what they were doing, here's the Nolan's Cross, drawn out. You got your different cones making up all of it, and the headstone, of course. And if you look to the horizon, now that's kind of what they would do. Now you gotta go back And they've done this even with the Great Pyramid of Giza, when they were looking out some of those little passages, those little tubes that go up through the pyramid, would be looking directly at a particular constellation like Orion's belt and things of that nature. But you got to back up the clock because of the change over time. Those constellations are not where they were 2,000 years ago. They're moved a little bit over. So you back up the clock a little bit. And that's how they went by figuring out this alignment for Nolan's Cross. They back up the clock a bit and then look at where it would have pointed then. And he lines it up. And this is the alignment of Nolan's Cross to use these stars, brings the epoch again of 1200 AD.
Well, I first saw that last night. I went, okay, whoa, hold on now, come on. What is this? So I spent about an hour or so poking around on the internet today, and the science of dating things using the location of stars has been around for centuries, right? And it's not a matter of saying, where was this star this time last year? It's a matter of where were these groups of stars lined up relative to each other.
Yes.
Right. Because they're always moving. They're always changing. Correct. So, and there's a way to actually calculate this, I guess, that you can say, okay, in order for these stars to have all been here and line up this way, it could literally take thousands of years to repeat itself.
Yes.
So
exactly.
When they're backing this all up, they're basically putting the time clock in reverse. They know how these stars all would track individually, and they put them over that certain spot, and they said this would only have happened X number of years ago.
Exactly. Yep. Great explanation. Thank you.
So it's a real thing. I didn't believe that it was, but it's a real thing.
Yeah. And by doing that and by matching that up, he has come up with the fact that using these particular stars overhead, that would put a date to Nolan's Cross at 1200 AD. Now, what were we talking about? Other things that were created in 1200 AD on Oak Island. And of course, we're talking about the stone platform, the stone road down the southeast corner of the swamp, the things that they're looking at now, and now Nolan's Cross. Who knew that as above, so below was a timekeeping mechanism? Great point, Jenny. Great point. So there you go. So here it is. And this is here he is looking at these using the rising of Alphard and the rising of Capella, the rising of Arcturus, the setting of, I'm not going to, Formalhat. I don't know the name of that one.
That's the crazy part about it. For those 5 things or 6 things to line up, you may have a certain century where only 4 of them line up, a certain century where 5 of them line up, and then a certain century where bang, they all line up.
Yep. Yeah. And you got that certain century when they all line up, 1200 AD.
1200.
Oh, Sodom and Gomorrah now has a hard date from astronomy? Really? Blue moon? I did not know that. Wow. What is that hard date? Do you know what? Do you tell us, please? Share. We are kept moving around in the galaxy. It'll all be different 1200 years from now. Exactly right, Barbara. It will be. It'll all be different 1200 years from now. So, yeah. And the coconut fiber, Richard, thank you. Yes. Richard said, and the coconut fiber was also dated about that same time frame. So, okay, so you got the when, and you got the what. Now we need the who. And who was around then? Portuguese.
Who was
when was the Portuguese there, Tom? Or Colin?
Well, the earliest map we've found that I know of is about the 1500s.
1500s.
Right? But that's just a map. Now, if you look at at some of the history around the Maritimes, there's actually believed to have been a Portuguese city in or a Portuguese settlement in Nova Scotia, as identified in Portuguese documents, that was early 1500s.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to set up a settlement, they would have had to have known about Nova Scotia well in advance of that. So
now, who would have had the capability before that?
You're talking
Templars,
Basque,
maybe?
Portuguese. Yep. I mean, well, the Templars were Portuguese, right? They moved to Portugal.
Yeah. Precessional wobble of the Earth's axis causes the constellations to shift position in the sky over 26,000 years cycle.
That's correct. Yep. That's correct.
Wow.
I looked that up today myself. Read it myself.
Yep. So there you go. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy. But again, you go back to that same date. I'm telling you, folks, people, like I said earlier, people want to poo-poo what was going on with the stone road. Why are they worrying about a stone road in the swamp? Good grief. Get looking for the treasure. Okay. But it does have significant meaning. It really, truly does, if you want to get down to the answers of it. And as Rick has often said, the swamp has answers that are yet to be discovered. So there you go. All right, enough said on that. Interesting stuff. We'll see more next week, of course, on that. Lastly, they jump over to the war room and they're having a meeting. And they basically, this is just to wrap up, and they have a meeting with the team that is over abroad and in Italy, and talking about going over some of the things. And we actually get to see Rick Lagina wearing a plaid shirt instead of his usual, what is it, blue jean material shirt that he's always wearing. He had a couple of different shirts on. Is that a big deal? No, I know, but I saw there were some people talking about it. It was kind of funny. But I think he does that. He sports that well. He looks good in that. Yeah. There's the team inside the war room, and of course, all those on the television screen there. And they're talking about the Stone Road, of course, and the finds that they did on Oak Island. And they're also talking about the many things that they found over in Italy to wrap all of that up. The things that they found over there. And they're not done in Italy. As we've seen in the preview for next week's show, we get to see Marty going down in the garden shaft. I don't know if this is the first time for him down there or not, but we see him going down to the garden shaft. We saw Rick down there before, and that's a long way down now. I mean, it showed a picture of somebody looking up from down there, and you're talking what? I don't know how
building.
An 8-story building, yeah. They're down. It's going to take a while to climb up all the way out of there. And they talked about the money pit, and every 10 feet they found the platforms. I mean, if you're thinking about going down in the ground like that, you have to have those platforms to get in and out, just like they did right here. And then you heard Marty looking down there, and he's looking at he thought was pretty amazing. Because he made a nice little exclamation about it as he was looking down there. And you do see, somebody mentioned it earlier in the show, you do see water down there as well.
Oh, yeah. There's no question in my mind that they had pumps down there.
Yeah, definitely got pumps down there working away. So, and lastly, but not least, look at the progression going on in that. Can you see that at all, Colin, when you were cruising around?
I didn't go that far around that part of the island, no.
Yeah. I'd like to see where it's at now. Well, you were just out there last weekend, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see the progression of this. I don't know when was Linda? Do we know when?
Laird just posted that today.
Okay, so recent then.
There was one a couple of days ago with no roof on. The second story was on, but the roof wasn't on.
So they got my apartment just about done.
Your new studio.
My new studio. I'm going to be doing live from Oak Island. That's awesome. I really think this is really a cool thing right here because of the fact that now we're going to get to see at least the interpretive center back in action again. Once they move. And again, I'm assuming the interpretive center will remain the interpretive center here. And this will be over here will be where they put the all the machinery and everything. And probably, I don't know what it's 2-story building or whatever, but that's what I'm assuming. I don't know. I have no idea if that's what they're going to do with it or not, but
they're going to have to find a spot for the lab, right? Because the lab doesn't just do Oak Island stuff. It does stuff from all over.
Yeah, that's a good point.
you know, and it doesn't just operate while they're doing Oak Island things.
Yep. Yeah. In addition to the interpretive center for the archaeologist and a lab for storage, etc. Yeah. So really, really cool. I'm happy to see this getting going again. It means that at least we can assume that in the future here, they're going to at least open up the parking lot and the interpretive center for tours. Don't know about the rest of the island. Probably not likely, but at least this portion will be opened up for tours at some point so people can come over and check out and see all the stuff underground and all this, everything that's going on there. Oh, that's interesting. David Neeson posted this on our Facebook group page, The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond. It's the estimated sea level and change around Oak Island, which shows it quickly becomes a peninsula.
Yeah.
Check that out. It's on our Facebook group page. He just posted it a few moments ago. Linda just sent me the link for it. I'm not going to bring it up on here because I'd have to download it and everything, and we got to wrap this up. So check it out on our Facebook group page, The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond. And you can check it out right there. It's really neat. You can see where, it would have been a peninsula, like I was saying earlier. Very cool. And Frog Island. Wow. It's interesting. Check it out when you get a chance, folks. I think that was it. Yeah, that is it. All right. We made it just a hair over 2 hours. Sorry about that.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, it does fly when you're having a good time. And we have had a good time here tonight. Gosh, Colin, thank you so much. You going to make it next week, Colin? What do you think?
I'm going to be on a plane flying overnight.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So
Europe.
No Colin next week. Yeah. So you got Tom and I. Tom and I will be here.
Yep,
we'll take you through episode number 23 next week. And man, I tell you what, thank you, folks. Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Skinwalker Ranch is our group page. Join us and sign up for next week's giveaway donated by a member. A book donated by a member. All right. That's going to be cool. So yeah, we really appreciate everyone that showed up here tonight with us. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. And those that did the super chats and all that, thank you so very much. As I've said before, it does cost to do this, and I really appreciate that so very, very much to get all this done so we can put this show out each and every week. Tom, thank you, sir. Colin, thank you very much for being here tonight. Linda and Jan, thank you guys for all the hard work you both do.
Thanks, Jan.
We could not do this without you. Honestly, could not do it without you. And all of you folks that come and join us each and every week. We appreciate it so very much. Don't forget, Friday night, we have no show tomorrow night, Thursday night, but on Friday night, we have Skinwalker Ranch season 4, episode number 2. We'll be talking about that. That will be, who's with me? Seth Bridges is with me again. No John this week. John is busy. So it's going to be Seth and I, and Linda will be helping out, I'm sure. For Friday night, 7:30, right here at the J Free 906 podcast on YouTube. Thank you, folks, for being here. We'll catch you next time right here. Good night.